in 2016. That is not how you pronounce that under any circumstances. It is my pleasure to introduce to you to the north position here on Dust Towers in the red trunks playing Protoss. It is Noni.
That's a smile.
I don't believe you. I think he's faking it.
Well, maybe he saw someone else do it.
And of course to the south position in the blue trunks playing Zerg from the self-proclaimed best esports team in the world. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Suppy!
We're going to start off on one of the more standard maps, if not the most standard map, just to, both players know exactly where their opponent is. A very macro-based map. We can see Noni scouting forward here, getting that early probe scout. This is something that a lot of Protoss players have kind of abandoned because a lot of the Zerg openings are fairly formal, but also you're trying to cut those corners. Gone are the days of Nexus first, he says, as he goes Nexus first. Gone are the days of Cannon Rush. Oh, no, it's not Nexus first. There we go.
We're Legacy of the Void now, Jeff. Remember,
it's
you
Legacy
can get
of the
stuff
Void.
out much quicker, which is always nice to get things going. I had to shorten my intros up a little bit, though. It used to be the case of, well, you got to fill for 4 minutes before something else happens. That's no longer the case in Legacy, which is interesting to see. What do you think to the fact that Suppy certainly did not try 3-hatch on this when he has that option of a pocket expansion? You think he's a little bit worried about Protoss nonsense in a potential block or pylon block or anything along those lines?
I think he would have been, but his opening actually kind of goes before that even. I think if he was lining up to do a 3-hatch before pool opening, it'd be really problematic the second that probe shows itself. But Zerg players these days typically like to go gas first or gas early because they are the ones that dictate the pace. Zergling all-ins, quick drops, Banelings are making more play now than ever before. It's been really nice, and I actually think to add my own opinion to this almost, I prefer it, because when Protoss dictated the pace, it felt like a lot of Zergs died cheaply. Now it feels like the game is hard-earned almost in this matchup.
I think that's Legacy of the Void in a nutshell, isn't it? I think a lot of people were worried that the increase in the number of workers that you got from the start would lead to more cheese. It actually does lead to less, I think, because you have more money earlier on, you have more resources to play with, that means you have more options. So as opposed to being limited to only having to commit to a singular path that may be the wrong one and having to do so blind, I think you've got a bit more flexibility. And speaking of flexibility, one of the most flexible units you can get right there, the Adept. Excellent for scouting, excellent for early game harassment. Just a great early investment for Protoss.
Exactly, and that's exactly how Noni's going to use this right now. It's going to come over here in phase form into the base and kind of take a gander at what's going on. If it saw like 25,000 Zerglings right now, of course the red sirens would be blaring. He'd have to start doing something. But on this map too, in particular, it's worth noting, we keep seeing Noni's wall in there from our amazing observer flow. It's really hard to cheese up that ramp. You're going to have a sentry behind it, probably. Lings aren't going to reliably get up there. So if you do, like you said, kind of go the cheesy route and say, okay, well, I'm going to go fast drop or something like that. That is that one pathway where if that doesn't work, you're infinitely behind. And we were kind of talking about this in the pregame. Suppy's more of a macro player, so I think we're going to see more of that kind of stuff.
Noni committing here with the Adept this time around. You notice the first time he did not get a scout on that third hatchery. He could kind of expect it, as you were mentioning. There was no big swell of Zerglings. He didn't see a Baneling nest or even an early Roach Warren. So he's thinking, all right, okay, he's probably going for the third hatch. Now he confirms it and gets to warp behind here. But that's a nice round there. There's the catch. And we're going to see first big kill here for the Zerg play. Getting that Adept out of the way early is nice. It's unfortunate for Noni that got caught.
And I love this upgrade out from Suppy here as well. Suppy is going very macro heavy, as we point out. That one Adept could have done more damage, but as you pointed out, to help us get a good surround there. But the speed overload is going to reveal absolutely everything, short of, I don't know, 5 Stalkers. It would seem very out of place at this point in time, or a Stargate Tech, which is really hard to do while taking a third right now. There's no way to stop it, really, so it's going to see everything. And Noni has to kind of know, all right, he saw everything, but as time goes on, that becomes even more bothersome. Protoss eventually do need to commit to a tech path, and we can see that here with the Twilight Council. It's probably going to be like Adept attack, or maybe Blink Stalkers.
Yeah, it seems like Noni's spending as much time as possible not committing to something, but there's like the first big commitment that says, this is the unit that I'm probably going to mass in some way. And that's, of course, the Adept tech there. And we also see a pretty early +2 coming out, so you were mentioning earlier this idea that Noni was very much a timing-focused player. Well, a +2 timing attack with an upgrade like that and a couple of Immortals, that's a damn timing, all right.
It is, and he actually has it lined up that it's a little bit behind the +1 melee attack for our Zerg player Suppy, which means He's not going to have much in the way of armor, and there's one of the first kind of really cool...
Over there, and the thing with this particular build is it's incredibly strong against ground units with upgraded adapts in the Immortals, but it's not...
Almost the fake. It's like, hey, would you move if I showed up? He's getting the intel right now that the answer is no. Well, the next Overlord's going to have more to it.
The majority of his units are over there, and the thing with this particular build is it's incredibly strong against ground units with upgraded adapts in the Immortals, but it's not much for shooting down Immortals and shooting down Overlords, unfortunately. So the air attack may very well be effective. Noni is suspicious at this point. He went after it, but that was a bait. You saw he draws away the anti-air, and down come the Baneys. We're going to see a split. The split goes off, and not too much damage there. There's the photon overcharge, and he was just quick enough. He looked a little slow on the uptake there, but he's going to get out of there.
You could see the Protoss gears churning where he's like, all right. Because at first he didn't move the Harvesters. He didn't move at all. But he's like, you're going straight to the mineral line, and then you stopped. And that's just too obvious. So Noni, that veteran player, gets away from that unscathed. And we can kind of see, again, that timing attack stuff taking shape here. No gases at the third. He is powering forward with his upgrades, and he's amassing quite a sizable army. We're going to have a kind of repeat performance as Suppy's going to try to sneak in with the Econ attack.
It's a good time as well to do that. The photon cannon is not up. The army just left. There is, of course, a possibility of a photon overcharge. And he sort of jukes towards the natural there, and then he's actually going to go in here instead. But he got baited over the pylon, and unfortunately, that Overlord's going to go down. And the Banelings pop and do absolutely nothing. In the meantime, you've got to be concerned about the size of Suppy's army, but he just had 23 Banelings in there. He's going for this continued harassment. I have to wonder if this is a good idea with a big push coming across the map here.
Well, it's going to all come down to this. The Banelings by themselves are not enough. Hydralisks are starting to come out. Noni is either hitting the best timing in the world or the worst. He doesn't quite have the force fields up there, though. He needs to be very careful. He's on creep, and these are speed Banelings are coming in, trying to wrap around. Suppy does disengage. And I think he's going to make the choice that says, okay, you can have that fourth base. I don't have it saturated. Doesn't really mean that much to me right now, and that's probably the right call.
Oh, here comes Baneling drop and a quick split from Noni. He's paying attention to both his defense and offense here, which is great. You see a surge of gateways coming in to continue this aggression. The Warp Prism is in place, and Suppy is looking to get this position, get this surround. There are some sentries. There's not a lot of sentries in that army. He might be able to do it, but the forces are pretty good. Can he get around the side? He goes for the surround. He is able to get in there, but he is just able to crush the majority of that army. The Hydra DPS from the back really helped out a lot there, despite the fact that the Banelings did take a long time to get in. But he's able to crush it, and now a significant army supply difference between Suppy and Noni, though I do have to be a bit concerned about the long-term implications of losing that fourth there for the Zerg.
Well, it's going to be interesting because Suppy's put in a weird spot right here. He scored a huge hit killing that army, and if a Protoss ever loses their army, they have a very tough time getting back up the important units there. So does he add the fourth and kind of go behind this? Yes, in fact, he double expands behind this. But he also could have, John, just piled on the units and gone for the kill. That being said, if that attack doesn't work, then he's in a lot of trouble. But he's going to kind of do both here. He pushes forward, sees a fourth base is being attempted, and Noni has a massive number of adepts here. And I believe Suppy caught with his hand.
Absolutely brutal. I'm actually kind of surprised that Suppy, having seen the upgraded adepts, decide to push with mostly Hydralisks. They get absolutely shredded by upgraded adepts. And now we see it swing back in the favor. And this is going to be +3 here, pretty early for the Protoss. A few Mutas out, which is a nice choice. So Stalker Warpin's going to clear that up pretty easily. Baneling drop again. Noni is on top of this. Like he's losing a couple, but that's actually not a bad trade. Baneling's however crashing into the army as he's paying attention to that, but there's not enough here for the Zerg.
And he's going to once again perhaps lose this fourth base. This time he has the luxury of perhaps just canceling it, but we have to go back to that attack that you talked about. He saw the well-upgraded adepts and pushed forward into it anyways, while double expanding behind that. StarCraft is way too beautiful of a game to try and do all those things against a top-notch player like Noni and get away with it. Now here comes the drone pull, and this is kind of the white flag of like, yeah, I'm going to go down to the fight, but this is not going to be good.
No, it's not. And he did the smart thing, fighting under the Overlords to try and screw with the auto attack of the Stalkers there, but Noni focuses in nice and easy. Blinks under. There's the GG, ladies and gentlemen. Noni picks up the first victory in this best-of-3 series in Group 2 of DreamHack Austin 2016. Good, strong start there for Noni, and it looked like he was on top of everything. His defense was rock solid. He didn't lose.
Excuse me. And if you lose 8 sentries while not mining gas at your third, it's dead. I mean, yeah, you're going to have half as many Adep spec at home, maybe one Immortal, but that army's just not that impressive. And that ended up being the kind of telltale case there.
Yeah, that is very true. All right, ladies and gentlemen, map 2 of this best-of-3 series between these two phenomenal players. We're going to be kicking it off here on Arena, and our first player currently up 1 game in this best-of-3 series in Group 2 in the Red Trucks playing Protoss. It is Noni! Versus his opponent in the blue. Playing Zerg, currently playing from behind, looking to equalize here. It is the one and only E.G. Suppy!
No.
Suppy fans in the audience right there.
Yeah, there they are.
That looks like a Gamma Bears logo right there. That's not the Gamma Bears logo.
I think it's Cal Berkeley Bears, man.
That's phenomenal. I'm glad to see another bear logo in StarCraft 2. You know, once that
need it.
Yeah, once that team was disbanded, it was a very unfortunate situation that we lost that, but it's awesome to see them back. It's great to see them representing in the audience, supporting, of course, their teammate. And he's going to need everything he can get because Noni was looking solid throughout that game. Like, I didn't see too many gaps in the armor in that particular build. And if he'd messed up on his defense, maybe, but the harassment-heavy style of Suppy in that game didn't pay dividends, not at all.
No, Noni looked really sharp. He took minimal damage from those banelings, and you're going to take some damage, by the way. It takes inhuman reactions, Hiko, to try and pull back and take absolutely no damage, but he was very much so close to that. Suppy was the one who showed moments of brilliance. Like, I liked his army composition. I love the baneling style. He remained committed to it, by the way. He had the first couple attempts kind of yield 0 results. A lot of players would be like, all right, well, I'm never doing that again. But the nice thing about that style is it really doesn't need to connect 3 times. If you drop 4 banelings on a mineral line that hasn't moved and you kill 12 probes, that's actually mega devastating to a Protoss player.
Yeah, that'll do it. That'll swing the economy in your favor. It was interesting to see Suppy play a more harassment-heavy style rather than sitting back and macroing. Yeah. I think, against a timing attack like that, had he been playing a more defensive style, he may have had more luck. But, I mean, he did defeat that army. It's just he decided to then go across the map and attack, and that was his error, perhaps not realizing that the
while double expanding and tech switching.
There is that too, yeah. If he committed to nothing but units, then maybe that attack would have worked. But unfortunately, it was a little bit half-hearted, as it were, and that seemed to not pay off at all for the Zerg player.
He was caught off guard too. Like, I mean, it's funny because it's like he murdered the army. He was actually up 50 supply when that fight was over. But by the time he got to Noni's base, again, because Noni is so geared in that game to just produce units, he wasn't thinking about a 4th base. He took a 4th base at the end of that, but really he wanted to do all the damage with his attack, and Suppy just kind of played into that, unfortunately. He did not read it, and it's a little bit too bad because Suppy had all the intel. He was floating through that guy's base for half the game with Overlords chock full of banelings, so it's not like he didn't know.
Notice that was phenomenal defense there by Suppy. He saves every drone, quick switch into Spore Crawlers to save them, and then the surround. And he timed that just right. He couldn't have lost the drone there, absolutely. He didn't. So that was great tracking, great defense there by Suppy. But we are seeing again Adept opening straight into Robo here. And we've got a lot more Lings coming out this time around for Suppy. He's decided, you know what, I'm not going to wait this time, I'm going for it. But there are 2 sentries already in the mix.
Yeah, and I wonder if he's going to drop. We see 4 Overlords as well. More Banelings, Zerglings. One of the common strategies on this map is to just load up with a lot of Zerglings, a lot of Queens, and you drop them in there. And that's what he's going to go for. And Noni on the flip side has a lot of gateways, so the potential for his production's there. I want to say that the Robo's like, it's like, hey, you shouldn't have that, but that's actually like not that greedy at all either. This is just a super tough timing attack to hold off.
I mean, I think as well, you've got to bear in mind the map. It's close by air. There's a great vulnerability to potential drop now in Legacy because you can get those drop Overlords so early.
Surprise!
And, hello, we brought you some friends. You want to party? Well, I don't think so. Noni is trying to get out of there as quickly as possible. It's not going to happen. There's Lings and Banelings and Queens, oh my, all over the Protoss army at the moment, decimating the probe line. There's a great place force field there. Will he be able to hold it? It looks like he might, but how much damage is going to get done here? There's already 8 probes down, more to come at this point. The Lings have broken through now. They're into the Zealots. They're trying to get a hold of those soft, meaty sentries. They're able to just do it, but that's going to be it. 8 probes down, decent amount of damage. What do you think about that investment?
Did that pay off? He held it. He's doing just fine. Noni with the staunch defense He's about equal in worker supply. As you can see, the big thing here is this was an all-in from Suppy. Like, he's now just slamming up against the wall. He's not really going to load up Overlords. He might try it again, I guess. But he did not do the damage he needed to. Their economies are about equal. Noni is up on the tech, and his army is a lot stronger.
It really is. He held that well. It was looking a little bit grim for a while when he started to take probe losses, but a well-placed force field here, well-placed zealot there, was able to hold it. You notice the transition through to lair, and it looks like it's going to be 2 bases. It's going to be 2 base all in at this point from the Zerg player. But he's transitioning. He's trying to get tech, but the army's already here.
And he's going to try to distract him by shifting into the base, but unfortunately, well, he's actually going to cancel out of that notion. Just let that Immortal sit in the back and deal out all his damage. Adepts in the early game can really tank damage, and that's exactly what they're doing.
They absolutely can. You might think, well, you don't want a ranged unit in the front line, but actually Adepts have the HP to manage that, and they decimate light units, and unfortunately, they're already in the base at this point. It looks like Suppy might be going in for an early tap-out, and there's a Warp Prism to reinforce and warp in as well. What exactly can Suppy even do from this position?
It's
you can't lose the space, right?
I mean, no, it's one of 2 bases. He's in a lot of trouble. Suppy does have the Heart of Alliance. He's going to see what he can try and do, but I mean, we got to Noni with that just brilliant defense. It looked really grim, but he was actually so patient about using his Mothership Core's Photon Overcharge, and he was really diligent about using his probes, not just to A move and then lose all of them, but rather just occupy space and block off the Zerglings.
Nice Banelink connection there, and the army is starting to thin out, but unfortunately there's not much of an army left for the Zerg player. There are still Adepts in the mix. Oh no, there's a huge warp in here from Noni. That's GG, ladies and gentlemen. 2-0 victory for the veteran Protoss. Shoney's still